Hard, heavy, and hair. Badass music for badass listeners. With Pariah Burke.
This is Pariah Burke, host of the Hard, Heavy, and Hair radio show, radio for true fans of heavy rock. I first interviewed Ray West, lead singer and one of the founders of Spread Eagle, in the summer of 2021. We've been good friends ever since. When Ray was tapped to become the new frontman for a living legend hard rock and metal guitarist, singing some of the best glam and rock of the 80s and 90s, I just had to talk to Ray on camera again. In addition to his new band, we talked about the state of Spread Eagle, who inspires Ray, new music he's working on, the changing atmosphere for our generation to talk about mental health and troubles, Ray increasing his singing range from the early Spread Eagle days, the stories behind many of Spread Eagle's best songs, bands who deserve respect they didn't get, and more. This is my new interview with Ray West of Spread Eagle and George Lynch's Electric Freedom, formerly Lynch Mob.
Hey, feel like I haven't seen you in ages, bro.
I know.
Since when did we talk? COVID or something?
Yeah, we talked last August. So Ray West of Spread Eagle and another band we're going to talk about in a minute. Welcome to the Hard, Heavy, and Hair show. Thanks for joining me again, Ray.
It's cool being back to work, man. Getting back to being able to do rock and roll, man. I know, and every band I've seen says the same to me. Oh, it's great to be back, man. And everybody has their COVID speech. It's just good though to be like able to focus on something, actually have gigs and something to do, man. Instead of just I feel like I stepped away from everything for a long time. I honestly feel divorced from the art of playing rock and roll. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I do.
I went through like a crisis of confidence and everything. I was like, man, like who am I? Why am I doing this? Is it worth doing? And when you don't get to do it, something you love, you just miss the shit out of it, I guess.
Yeah. So
getting all fucking dramatic right away. But yeah, man, back with Spread, and we're getting our getting our act together with doing these gigs at the end of July, and just feels good. Feels good.
You mentioned the crisis of confidence. You feeling better now that you're actually back on stage, back in front of a mic?
Yeah, man, because it feels like flying. That's how I equate singing. When the act of like dancing and being goofy in front of people, when it's like free spirit, you're not thinking about it, and you're singing, it's like a great release. It feels like flying, man. I can't explain. It's what I love because I know it. You're taking all that air and you're releasing it, so it's kind of like a form of crazy meditation, But it feels like you're flying, man. It feels great. So I do love it.
Right on. And I bet the audience is glad to see you back.
I hope so. Hope I'm not, just in it for myself. It's nice to have somebody else give you something back, It's all about that, isn't it? Without the audience, there's nothing. There's no, you know what I mean? It's just music. The live thing is a whole different animal. You like I said before, with you're having this conversation with people, and it's like you're giving them energy and they're giving you back energy. So I think it's great, man. Long story short.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you're back out there and that you're over that hurdle that you went through. Yeah,
I think when you aren't connected to something all the time and you sort of lose that, you sort of wonder if that's what you're supposed to be doing. Your mind goes to all kinds of things. I felt semi-retired, so I was ready to just kick back on the beach here and do nothing. And it's like that movie, every time I'm out, it pulls me back in. So. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I have talked about that in the past. I mean, we both have gone through things where it just felt like I'm too far out of this. Is it over now? Is it not? Am I ever getting back to it?
Yeah, it's because there was a point in my life, when you're younger and doing this, and you're just coming out of the gate. You're hungry. You've got all of your tools handy and ready, and ready to go. And as you evolve and life goes on, if you don't do it consistently, that toolbox gets a little further and further away. You know, it's like a mental game, and it's everything. It's mental, it's physical, and it's all a game of confidence, isn't it? The more confident you feel, the more you're connected to things, but confident in a good way, not confident in the egotistical, cocky way. Like, look at me, you know, because okay, so once they're looking at you, what do? You got to give, you know, and it's being in the box, as I call it. It's no joke, you know. It's serious business. You know, the act of performing, the act of people coming to see you, or whoever you're with, in certain cases, is because they came to see a show. They came to, and you know, also to have a good time. So you got to provide that, you know, and that all comes into play. So confidence is a big deal, and I feel connected, and I feel like I'm back to doing that. I feel good.
I'm really glad to hear that, man.
Confidence fucking sucks. It sucks, man. So many times in your life, you come to these. It's like the hero in the movie, you know. It's his back's against the wall. You know, what are you gonna do? You know, you gotta find your superpower. So whatever that is, I'm holding on.
Right on.
Hope it makes sense. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah,
All
it
right.
does, and I think it's something that most people go through. You know, and it's definitely something I've gone through. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'm glad you understand that, because you know, some people just can't relate. You know, because everybody's doing their own thing and just too busy in with their own business for me to bother them with my stuff. So you're just kind of dealing with it on your own. And my thing was just like, what do? I talked to my kid. He's like, you know, just be yourself. I'm like, oh, that's it. Just do me, man. I'm good like that.
Yeah. Did you hear about the LA Guns show recently where Tracy played from the bathroom?
No.
Okay. So this goes along the lines of what we were just talking about. So Tracy Guns suffers from anxiety, and he had an anxiety attack right before a show, and they're on tour. They're out with Faster Pussycat and doing a tour. And he had an anxiety attack right before a show. He couldn't go on. So, you know, they were looking at having Ace play his guitar parts. They were trying to figure out something. And Johnny Martin, bass player for LA Guns, says, why don't we put you in the bathroom and wire up the bathroom? So Tracy played the entire show to get past his anxiety. You know, he couldn't be around people. So he's in a bathroom backstage, 20 feet from the stage, while the rest of the band is out front. They've got a camera on him, and the crowd can see him, but he's alone and he's able to play and deal with his thing.
Come on, this is real?
Yeah, totally.
That's extreme. I mean, wow, I didn't know that.
But
wow.
So Tracy first posted about it on his personal Facebook page. And then Johnny did the same. And then it made not the personal accounts, the Facebook pages, it hit the pages. And then Ricky Rackman wrote it up and you know, and all that. You know, so it was totally true, but I was really excited. And I'm not sure if I want to talk to Tracy about it. I don't want to embarrass the guy, but the whole idea of people of our generation having mental illnesses and problems, we didn't talk about that when we were younger. You know,
no, you're right. We didn't. And because of people's mental illnesses, you know, that's why people drink, smoke, whatever, you know, to try to compensate for that. I as of our last conversation, you know, I spent most of my life battling that, you know, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't really know what it was. You know, nobody really was around to help me about that. So that's how I dealt with it. But that's crippling. It's crippling. That moment where you're about to go on, and people think it's all fun and games all the time. It's not. That there's just a like 10-15 minute window you have before you have to sort of, you know, put all this energy together, or how to control it, because you're experiencing all this crazy shit, and you just got to get a grip on that, you know. And the more you just learn how to deal with it, because it's a bit of a trick on how to deal with it. You know, everybody has their ways of, whether it's medication or meditation, you know, conversation, whatever, but it's all the shuns. There's a way to deal with it. I can't even imagine that though, but I can imagine it being so crippling that you'd have to perform in the bathroom, I guess. That sounds crazy to me. But it's all like that, isn't it? It's all crazy. This thing we do is crazy.
Yeah. But
So,
it's I'm glad that we're having, we're having the bigger conversation. People are starting to talk about, not just with the younger generations, but with our generation,
yeah.
that people our age deal with stuff like this too. I have social anxiety, seriously bad. And most days I can manage it, but there are some days I just can't, you know, I've begged off concerts with friends playing, just because I couldn't be around people.
I yeah, I can imagine that too. And that can make sense to me. And we all go through that kind of thing. I have it. I don't like to be around large crowds, even though we play gigs, right? But it's I don't know, man. The human brain is such a even at where I'm at in life, I still don't get it. I'm happy to be breathing, and I'm glad that people want to have conversations with me and even want to be in the same room as me. That freaks me out in general, but then there's this layer on top of it where there's a lot of overthinking involved, and your brain can play tricks on you, if you're not
Yeah.
focused, really dialed in. Because when you're not thinking about things, life is smooth, right? But when you start thinking about things, that's when it fucks with your head.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, in my experience, most of my problem is when I'm too deep in my head. That's
Right.
when I'm having problems,
Have you ever have you ever had an issue with where you dealt with drugs or anything like that?
No, thankfully.
Oh, you're one of those, because there's some people that are able to touch a narcotic and they never touch it again. Like, oh wow, that made me sick or something. And then there's those of us that we touch it and it's like, oh, that's my warm blanket.
Yeah.
Why is it my warm blanket? I don't know why. When you're a kid, you're high strung and there's a lot of high energy, and all of a sudden you find this thing and it becomes your safety net, and it becomes a problem, and it's not your safety net anymore. Then it cripples you, it cripples everyone around you because no one wants to deal with you. And I don't know why it happens. I've been in a struggle trying to understand the drug use on my part, like why it is. I've always, since I was a little kid, I've always been around it. I don't understand it, so I've done my best to deal with it. And I'm not a meetings person. I know we talked about that before, but I quit on my own. But it's a really hard struggle. Not that it's like I got to do it, but it's like the fact that I went through it. I have to own that. Those are years. They're not wasted years. I functioned, but I didn't function to the best of my ability. So I feel like I lost a lot of time because of it. That makes sense to you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does. No, I was lucky. There were a couple of people around me that were dealing with that, and that kept me from going that way. But,
When I was like, oh, John, Janice, what did Janice drop in that? Oh, wow. Got a drug overdose. Jimi Hendrix, what? This must be some really amazing shit. My brain wasn't like, oh, that's bad. My brain was like, oh my God, that's cool. So somewhere, watching the Midnight Special as a kid, you don't think about that. You're just like, oh man, that's gotta be the coolest thing in the world to be a rock and roll person and travel and do things and do drugs and drink to your content, and it's not.
well, I mean, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's all part of the rock and roll image and lifestyle, or at least it was.
It's the rock and roll mantra.
Yeah.
And those of us who don't use our higher power for that, we let our guard down, and that's what happens, man. Sucks. Anyway.
But you're doing great now.
Yeah, man. It's taken me lots of years to get my shit. I'm a late bloomer, man. Everything is like, I'm working more now than I have in past 2 decades. It's weird, and everybody gets their the karma feels good. I didn't put any bad karma out, I think. And I've often asked people, like, hey man, was I an asshole to you? They're like, no, man, you were just kind of fucked up. You were a good guy. You just were kind of high, and I don't want to be that anymore. So it's taken me a long time to be the person I am. And the kid changed me a lot. Raising Brando, that made life serious. I was like, wow, I'm raising this kid, and who am I to be raising the kid? And it straightened me out a lot.
Yeah, I bet it has.
Because I don't want to be embarrassment to the kid. You don't want to be embarrassment in life. You want to be a good person. And so I feel like I've got my stuff together now. I've got great people around me. I've got nothing but positivity around me. And I'm a hippie, man. I'm all like live in peace and love. And I don't want no static. I'm really easy to deal with. But it's taken me a long time, honestly, to get to this point. I know there's a lot of people that don't even get out of it, but I guess I'm pushing in the right direction, it feels like.
Glad to hear that. Right on. So you mentioned that you're working more than ever. How did you hook up with George Lynch's Electric Freedom? How did that come about?
I met him a long time ago because I was tight with Oni. I came up with Oni because I born in New York City, but I spent my teen years down here in Florida, and so then as we got into my 20s, somehow I met Oni, and we just started like going to bars together and stuff like that. So it's funny because he and I both chased the same bands down here. We sort of went to the same venues. I'd pick him up in my car, we go and hang out, whatever. And years later, here I am, working with his tunes. So what happens is, I think I'd met George when Spread was in LA. It was a quick hello. We really, it was much but a handshake, but Oni introduced me to him. And that was the first time and only time I ever really talked to George. It was like, hi, bye, how are you? Nice to meet you. And, but he was cool. I was like, man, fucking icon, man. Anyway, Rob in Spread has, I guess, been on and off, whatever, with him for a while, but he plays for George now as well. So Rob was, other than his Sebastian gig, the UFO gig, is playing with George. And my old friend Andrew, Rob gave me a call. Was like, Rob was the hookup. That's how it happens. It's just because I think Rob's has known me so long, and he's seen me go through my struggles, and I think he's been really just nothing but positive for me. Just like, Ray, man, you got this. You're fucking Ray West and this and that. And I'm like, okay, let me figure that shit out. So just through happenstance and just relationships, I get a call from first the call from Rob, and think there's a shot you can come do this gig. And I'm like, okay, man, so what do I got to do? Because just learn all these tunes, and there's no rehearsal. I'm like, what, man? Well, you tell, okay, I think I can do this. It took me a few minutes to think about it, because I'm like, man, to jump in on something and just go and do it full bore. With me, it's no risk it, no biscuit. These things don't come around very often. I spending years on my ass doing nothing really. And then I get this call, and he's like, well, George might call you then if you want to do this. All right, cool, man. Hang up with Rob. George calls me. I'm like, wow. It's fucking, it's like, and he was just so fucking cool, man. He was just so sweet to me. And quick conversation, just real professional as far as what we needed to do and what I needed to do. And but that's it, man. Through a relationship and through positivity, here I am. And so gonna be doing these shows, man. It's unreal. It's unreal to me, going from 0 to 100. Because I just went through some crazy shit for the past like 5 or 6 years. And it was always about questioning my talent, my desire to do this. And even it got to the point where I was questioned so much where like it fucked with my head. I was like, do I really want to do this singing thing anymore? I like just being a daytime dude, going to 9 to 5, all that kind of shit. But I guess I'm not meant to do that. I've always wanted to be singing rock and roll, blues, funk, and talking about it, thinking about it. Somehow, some way, I willed this shit into existence. Because here I am having a conversation with you about it, and it's getting real. So it's like, I guess the thing now is just a lot of hard work, but at the same time, just to have fun with it.
They don't call it playing for nothing.
Yeah, man. I forgot how to have fun. And I think George's vibe, when I spoke with him, I got the sense of him that this is going to be cool, and you only get one chance to really shit the bed. So hopefully I won't do that. But it's about, the gigs are kind of loose, and they from what I've seen, they're just, it's cool, easy to work with. It's a lot of like singing where I haven't really used much of my upper to mid register anymore. I've been in this low tuning thing.
Mhm.
So I have to sort of turn back and wind back my brain and kind of use some old technique that I used to have, the original technique that I came up with, whatever that is, and make it work. So I love the tunes, man. And back to your question though, Rob hooked me up. And it was funny because I didn't think George knew who the fuck I was. But it was cool. He
Man,
knew.
you're Ray fucking West.
I guess so, man. I guess so. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt so I remember what the fuck that.
You should. You should sell those at the show too.
Because I made it, even like when I'm posting, it's like, who the fuck is Ray West? Because honestly, I felt like that, bro. I felt like, oh, who the fuck am I? When I did what I'll call it like my own songs. It was a record called APW. When I did that, it was like, oh, what do you want to call it? I didn't want to call it Ray West because I didn't think I deserved to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I wish I'd have done that though. Just like the Ray fucking West album. Not Ray West, the Ray fucking West album. But here we are, brother. So I'm excited. I haven't been this pumped about anything in a long time, except when I see my girl, But this is cool. This feels right. Feels good.
Right on. So what kind of songs? I mean, is it all the old Lynch Mob stuff?
It's a mix. I see Lynch Mob songs in the set and Dawkins songs. I think what he does is he does these gigs where he also plays with Dawkins.
Yeah.
Right. So he does Lynch tunes, and then he goes off and does a few tunes with Dawkins. And so I imagine when we're on our own, we'll mix up everything, and when we're Dawkins, we're just doing the Lynch stuff.
Okay.
The set list has a lot of great stuff in it. A lot of
like what?
Stuff. I think
Any specifics?
Put a Fire on there. Like all these songs that have been in my head for years, as far as listening to them, and even the Oni stuff, the Lynch Mob stuff is really, it's high caliber stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
I thought I knew it because I used to gloss over that record quite a bit. I think there was a point too where oh man, my bro Oni's got an album, and I listened to the hell out of it, but I didn't analyze the record vocally. I just appreciated it. And now like the work that Oni did was really first class, man. First class. There's a whole trick with, the art of singing in a room, writing something and putting it on the track. Oh, sorry. I'll deal with that later. Putting on a track. And I know what it's like to be in the headphones in the studio with under the microscope. It's either hit or miss. You're either having a moment or you're not having a moment. So I really respect the music a lot, man. I really do. And the vocal work is awesome. It's awesome. I had no idea until I had an idea.
Until you had to sing it yourself.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of work here. Me and Oni used to drink from the same water, so I kind of like understand a lot of the inflections and things like that. But I think the key to this gig is, from what I've been told, is for me to just be me. So I'm not Oni, I'm not Don Dawkins, obviously. So I'm just me. So
not Robert Mason.
That's it, man. Yeah. I mean, all these great singers he's had, man. It's a long line of cool dudes, great voices. And so I'm like, who the fuck am I to step in here? But
well, you gotta look at it as he's had this long line of great singers, and George is so talented. He could work with anybody.
Yeah.
And now you're there. Why? Well, because you fit in that lineup.
That's good. What's the why? That's very good. It feels good to me. It's not some foreign thing where I'm like, oh my God, wait. I'm like, yes, okay, I'll do that. Then it's like, oh, what the fuck have I gotten myself into? It feels good. This music, he writes these really great pockets. There's a lot of grooveology in what he does. And I really appreciate that now. So I think I know where some of the pockets are. It's gonna drop myself right in there, But guy's amazing, man. As far as guitar players go, you don't. Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself because I heard it's a really cool, fun gig, and I want to just be able to just enjoy it. So that's how I'm looking at it now. At first, I was like, oh man, I got all this work to do. Then as I heard it, I'm like, I like this stuff, which made it easier. You know, I can't even imagine like just singing for a band and not really digging it, doing it just for the because it's a job. Like that's why I've turned down so much work because I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. But this feels like it fits me. So
Yeah, and you absolutely belong in the class of singers that he's had in the past. You are right up there.
thank you.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm your friend. I'm saying it as somebody who's been listening to you sing for years. I loved that first Spread Eagle record. That was my first exposure to your singing. And I've heard the other projects and everything. You're that good, man.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, you know what it's too? I dropped out of that singing lane, right, and dropped into like this sort of more like modern evolution, lower tuning thing. And it's all the same. It's just a matter of like muscle memory and just getting the riffs. Like me, man, lately for inspiration, I listen to Paul Rodgers because to me, Paul Rodgers that's my dude. Everybody has their somebody. Everybody has their DO. And to me, it's Paul Rodgers because it's rock and roll blues, man.
Yeah.
And that's the gear I'm looking to be in. I like that kind of vibe. So thank you very much. That really warms me over. So it's man, I can't take a fucking compliment. It's very difficult. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You, Don Dokken, Oni Logan, Robert Mason, Ray West, same level. You guys you don't have big shoes to fill. You got big feet. So
thanks, man.
if that wasn't too corny.
5 with big feet. Like your Prince had big ass feet. Oh, you're funny. Well, yeah, I'm honored. I'm happy. I'm excited. And God bless Rob DeLuca, man. He's just a good guy, and he knows our relationship has always been strong, really strong. Really proud of Rob, man. Rob's done great as far as his name in the business, and him being such a workaholic. And I see that George is a workaholic because he's always, some guys just go like the Energizer Bunny. They just go, man. They gig and they're capable of doing that, capable of booking shows, but they don't stop. And that's what I respect. They both been, George has been gigging, man. He's out there. He's swinging for the fences all the time, whether it's with Lynch Mob or Dokken or his blues thing. So, yeah, thanks, man. This is cool.
Any, and this may be too early, but any plans to record new material with George and the Electric Freedom?
That would be awesome. And we won't get into that now, but
okay.
Right now for me, it's just about doing this, and as things come, and if things are cool, then of course, man, I'm not gonna, who am I to say no? Yeah, no, you're just interested. Fuck that, man. Go. Let's go, man. I enjoy the studio now. I didn't when I was younger. So I would love to, yeah, sure. Because I feel like this is another starting point for me. So I'm taking it serious, and at the same time, I'm having fun with it. So whatever comes, I'm down. And if it doesn't come, it's cool. I was down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm great.
Yeah,
and
I think big things are going to be coming for you. Bigger things, even.
I'll take it, man, because I could use some bigger things. I'll take it, bro. It's been a rough patch. So it's nice to have something to look forward to and to work. It's nice to work. So, it's something in the craft that really I enjoy. Didn't understand why I loved rock and roll so much. I just do. It's just that thing that goes into your DNA.
Yeah.
All those long rides with my pops going to the drag strip, and you would just jam everything from Zeppelin to Santana. When you're young, that stays with you. I don't understand. And I have a lot of friends that they love music, but they obviously do other things. And so the conversation is always the same though. Oh man, it's very humbling how they always kick me in the balls all the time to keep me humble too. It's like, oh, you're not some rock star, man. And I'm not. I don't feel like that rock star work bullshit. I just enjoy the craft. And I didn't go to college. Like rock and roll was the clubs were my college, and I got friends that became doctors and lawyers and all that. And doing this is just as satisfying as anything else there is. I think you can do expressing yourself and having people sort of work with that. It's art, man.
Yeah.
Does that sound silly? It's art, man.
No, no, it is. It's art.
I forget we're having this conversation, but other people are going to listen to it. So, yeah.
All right. So speaking of new people, just getting back to the interview kind of questions. Spread Eagle just announced a new member.
Yeah,
not
man.
too long ago.
Yeah. So Jami, fucking virtuoso. I don't know how Spread gets these great guitar players. It's crazy. When Rob wanted to do auditions, I was like, well, that's going to be a little tricky because these are, big shoes to fill. So he, when people submit stuff or you see people on video, there's so much more to them, and he seems like he's just a great guy, great player, great team player. And he seems to be willing to do anything and everything right now, till he comes in some gigs and I don't know, he gets a big head. I don't know, but he's great. He's just extremely talented. We're extremely lucky. Zeev obviously, got busy with some life stuff. Zeev had a baby, and that's taken up a huge space in his life. And that's what he's got to sort of gear himself to. And he's got other commitments that are big time as well. So he was like, let's I think the right thing to do is to bring another guy in, and that's when we had the conversation. So here comes Jami, gives us these videos, comes to rehearsal, blows it out of the water, man. And his hand width, or whatever, the length of his fingers, jealous as hell, man. Because, but he's really, if you watch when he plays in his vids, everything's so easy and fluid. It's pretty amazing, man. Great dude. And we just got lucky. There's a lot of luck going on this past couple of months. It's so it just keeps going, man. But and there he is. So he learns fast. He's learned pretty much the whole catalog, whatever we throw at him. So
oh wow.
He's ready to go. He'll be doing the shows with us.
And you're in the studio working on new material, right? Is Jami helping with that?
Not yet, because he's brand new with that. So
okay.
But he's new. And Robbie had to go take off with UFO, so things had just stopped for a little bit because for the next month. But we have a lot of material to throw at him. And I've heard a lot of his original stuff, so we're going to bring him into the mix, I'm sure. And it's all a work in progress, my man. I'm not going to lie to you. It's all a work in progress. I wish I could say we had the whole album done already and Johnny would just jump in and dub on it, but no. It's from what I know right now, what I've heard, Rob and Ricky went in and wrote a lot of stuff on their end. I think Steve might have had some stuff too. I'm not sure, but there's about maybe 5 or 6 solid things, and we got a little ways to go. We should be, I think by the time we're getting into midsummer, I would imagine late summer, we should have something.
This is the first time, the recent gigs are the first time you've been able to play any of the Subway to the Stars material, right? Live. How are audiences reacting to that? In addition, the new material compared to the older stuff.
Well, let's get the timeline. The gigs that we're going to do are at the end of,
Oh, you haven't played yet.
Right. So.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. But in July, is when we have these gigs set up, and I want to play the whole damn record, because this is the thing we go back and forth about. I'd say about Rob and I, we go back and forth a lot about our opinions on the set list. And as much as I love Rob and he loves me, the beauty of it is we can debate, but it's a friendly debate, right? My theory is I love to have more new songs in the mix because from the input I've gotten is that people dig the new record. and it's kind of like where we're at now. So I would love to play the whole damn thing. So we came into agreement we're going to have like about 3 or 4 tunes in the set, you know, and hit maybe three, 3, and 3, everything from every, 3 from every album, and tweak things up. So
Sounds like a good system.
yeah, and the music translates really well live. Do you have a favorite song off it?
Actually, let me pull it up because I was listening to
Notes, man.
well, normally I do, but I mean I was listening to the first album
Oh, okay.
today, and so that's where my head is.
What do you want to hear off that?
Well,
You're not going to hurt
let me
my
see.
feelings. Trust me.
I actually wanted to ask you. Okay, so I really like the whole first album. So let me go back. I love Broken City. I mean, all the tracks are great, but I really like Broken City.
There's
I think something about that spoke to me when I was, in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And it really sunk in. The lyrics, especially, yeah, that just stuck with me. So that one I would love to hear. I would love to see you guys play live.
All right, cool. Because did we write that in the studio? That might have been something we were starting in the room. Actually, we started that in the music building, Midtown. We started writing that in the live room, but then that's when the songs were like half finished, and we finished it in the studio. So now when you're tracking in the studio and trying to build something, things sound huge. And that's one of these songs that sounds just as huge as we felt when we were writing it. Like, it's epic. It's got that huge music section in the middle. I don't know if it's a solo or bridge, whatever the hell it is, but I think the epicness of it is what gets me, man. There's a lot of depth to it. There's a feel to it. And I can guarantee that the way it felt writing in the studio and tracking it was the same vibe that I feel when I listen to it. Some songs you don't get that. Like, it's really got a sort of depth to it that's really cool, and it's all the extremes. It's me blasting at about 100 miles an hour. It's got 110% vocal crazy shit going on. I was unbridled, didn't know what the hell I was doing as far as technique. I'm just screaming my brains out. So everything about that song is at 100. It's a great musical piece. So I do like it. It translates well live too, because live you get it's more raw, obviously, because we don't have 3 million guitar players. We got one, and I don't play guitar live because I suck at it. I can strum on my acoustic, but I've never played guitar live. It's just a thing. I can't do it, man. Happy being a dancing monkey. But that song, and of course, Switchblade probably. And the rest of the album is it's up in the air as far as what to play live, because there's so many tracks. Maybe go to the second record, do like Devil's Road. What else is on the second record that I love so much? I still love Fit. This song called Faith. That record had legs for a little while. The timing of it, as we talked before, the timing of that record was in the middle of the change over from like rock and roll getting silly to the serious grunge happening. So
yeah.
Things get lost in the mix, but I still think it's a great record. We weren't trying to be grown up on it. We were just trying to write some really well-crafted songs.
Speaking of growing up, so the first Spread Eagle record has Susie Suicide and Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter is another great one. But you got a couple other songs on there. You got the Spread Eagle title track. You've got Back on the Bitch, Hot Sex. Are there any that you guys have grown past and don't want to play anymore? You've aged out of?
You just said all three. Because what it was, I think, when you're young and you're living in the city and they give you the keys because you become this signed band, you get to do whatever you want, right? So you kind of write about what you know. So at the time, life was about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And at the same time, also this New York City thing, this feel of the city, So some songs you could tell what's kind of like filler, and Hot Sex is like, at the time, I felt like it was tongue in cheek. So my sense of humor was, well, come on, no one's going to take it serious. It's just a fun song. And it got that people requested that song all the time.
Yeah.
You know, certain band members like, we can't do that song. It's silly. You know what I mean? And I think we did play Spread Eagle Live a couple of times, the title track. And of course, we were all going to Billy's Topless. You know, it's like, what else are you going to write about? I'm here like 8 nights a week, you know, so I'm going to write about that, you know, and it's, but I feel like rock and roll shouldn't be so serious. You know, that's how I felt too. So I have many people come up to me, and it's always at some bar after a gig. You know, there's always that one guy. He knows everything. He knows more than you. He knows you better than you know yourself, right? He's like, so man, you guys good? Why hot sex? I'm like, dude, you see all the women in this place? Why not hot sex? You know what I mean? It's like, who are you? You know, do you not have sex? You know, I'm writing, and not that I'm some fucking Dr. Ruth, but at the time I thought I was pretty much a sex expert, you know, and all that because I was in a rock band. That, give me another one. Susie Suicide. I love that song. As much as I'm like, it's not like I'm on helium. I love that. So that song's got a fucking thing to it. And it's always great live. You write what you know. You meet people, they're crazy. You write about them, right?
Yeah.
I don't write about birds flying and rainbows and angels and things, but you write about what you know. So it's everything's gritty on that record, man. There's a certain really raw, honest, youthful exuberance on that record that goes. That makes sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you asked me about Subway to the Stars, what my favorite was. I'm looking at the track list now. It's tough, but it's probably a tie between 29th of February and Sound of Speed.
Yeah, 29th is cool, man. That's kind of different for us. You know, Ricky, I think Ricky wrote the groove to that. Yeah, that's a lot of Ricky on that. What a fun song, man. The lyrics are cool. What I like about the Subway record, I love the lyrical content. It's all like just really cool imagery and things like that, you know. I'm not Edgar Allan Poe. You know, I don't write stories. I don't write poems. If I see something, that's how I write. You know, lyrics are hard for me. I'm not like, oh, look at me, I've got a journal of a million things, let's go. It's like, I got to bear down, write about my daily journal. You know, I go about my daily journal and I'll just take things or phrases or quotes, you know, or just, you know, you get a cool idea, you go with it. You know, it could be something someone said to me. You know how it goes, man. But that record's I'm so glad people liked it, because what my worry was, I wasn't doing the Vokes like the old days. So I was hoping people would still dig it. And from what I know, it got good reviews and people liked it. So that's nice for me. It's nice to have people dig your shit instead of not. Right?
Yeah. There are some bands that AC/DC stay the same sound all along, right? You know, and that works, and it works great for them, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I love AC/DC, but I really appreciate the bands that experiment and grow, even when they have a stumble. You know, like Kiss's concept album. You know, what was it? Something about the Elders. I forget. I usually remember this, but you know, it was like, wow, that album was not the greatest album out there, but they tried something different. You know, and that's what you should do as an artist of any kind. You should stretch and challenge yourself, and sometimes you fail.
Yeah,
you know,
they made it through the disco era. They made it through the disco era, man.
Yeah.
I was at a place last night and the band played that song. I couldn't believe they played it. They did it great too, and it just was so much fun to hear it, because it's people have to, like, you have to give artists room to express themselves and make their changes, you know. But you got those people. There's just it's the core people that are very like, no man, that's it. Like, we want what we want, and that's it. But that's selfish. But gotta let the band do what they do. They're still gonna play that for you live. You'll still have that core stuff, but let them fuck around. You know, let them paint with blue and red and yellow and purple. Make magenta.
Yeah. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just think it's important to evolve. It's just like the stuff I'm hearing with you know, Lynch mob. It's cool stuff. When I hear that song, what is it? Believers of the Day. Wow, that's a great tune. You got to check that song out if you don't know. It's really cool, man. But yeah, bands should be allowed to have fun and express. And Kiss is a great is they took the makeup off. It's so many cool, and we're still going to see Kiss.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, man. Band's got to spread its wings. Period.
Yeah, and I'm really, not to sound cliche on top of that, but I'm really glad to see Spread Eagle spread its wings on the Subway album. I really liked the whole record. And when I think Sound of Speed was your first single from it that you dropped. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was blown away, because I was a fan of the old records too.
Right.
And I heard this. Wow, these guys have really matured musically, and this is really good stuff. So I got excited about it. And then when the whole album came out, it was so little of the time, people don't sit down and listen to albums a whole lot anymore. But I got that. I sat back with the headphones on and I just listened to the whole record.
Right.
And it was one of those that I really enjoyed the journey it took me on.
Yeah, it's literally a subway ride. You get into the subway, and as you do all the stops, this music comes, and at the end, you get off.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, if you want to get back on, you get back on the subway. It's cool to be part of something like that, like a record like that. It's and a lot of that too has to do with how Robbie thinks, because I'll be like, that's done, leave it, but no. But Rob goes back and, but listen, we could do this with it. I'm like, okay, man, more stuff to do. God bless him and the details. So it's great. There's certain tracks that you have to hear twice. Like I love Serpentina and songs like that, because for me that's different. I like, and we're having this conversation, I like stuff that's different. So I'm like, look at that. That's a song, and that's my voice on it. And I'm like, that's cool that I did that. It makes you not every track is like at 110. Some are like at 110, and then you move down, you go to about 80. It's like a cool ride. It's in waves, and sometimes we go up and we break hard, and sometimes we coast. And that's how a record should feel. That's why I love what makes a record a classic. Everybody's taste is different, but a lot has to do with things being different on the tracks, not everything being the same color, and not boring everybody to death. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. Janie Lane had once said about the Cherry Pie album, he said, people would get bored listening to my voice. That's why we had to try different things. And I always agreed with that. It was an interesting way for a singer to look at things, especially where as the front man, you're often considered the ego of the band and everything, and obviously you are very humble. Who the fuck is Ray West? Hashtag. But to hear that from Janie at the top of the, Warrant's career was pretty cool too. But right. You reminded me of that. Yeah.
And he had so many people coming at him, because it doesn't matter at what level you're at. There's always somebody's got something to say. You know what I mean? But as I think when you are singing, it's easy to get bored if you are doing the same thing over and over again. That's why I like to experiment. That's why I went from, singing at 100 high, falsetto rasp, to trying my chest mid-range, and I feel like I've evolved into this more mid-range singer. And now I can use the higher end just for color. I don't need to be doing that all the time, because people get bored of the same signal. That frequency can just irritate people if you do it too much. So you have to learn the grooves of what you can do. Like I said, sometimes you go to 100, sometimes you go by 80, and sometimes you do a nice ballad piece, which takes everything. I respect the ballad, man. I love a good slow tune. But then again, I'm a singer, so I like slow tunes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So and that, I can't even imagine what he had to deal with, because they were at the top of their game. They were heavy rotation on MTV, and they had so many people loving them and so many people hating them. That just happens. Doesn't matter how cool you are, right? Someone's gonna fucking hate on you someone's gonna hate on you even before you enter the room.
Yeah.
It's because they've heard you and they want to find some way to fucking tear you down.
That's what
You just
Sorry.
don't give them the time. You just don't give them the time. So it's like I try not to like I don't read comments and shit like that. I just do it and I leave the room. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I can imagine what they went through. You were going to say something? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's what pissed me off about Winger. Do you remember when Beavis and Butthead put down Winger?
Yeah.
And it killed their career. But you got Kip Winger and Reb Beach, writing these incredibly complex songs. They were good. They still are good,
Yeah.
but they got written off because of a cartoon.
And if you are in the consciousness of people like that, you're just a target, man.
Yeah.
That's how it works. You're just a target. We do this thing where we put ourselves out there because no one else is doing it, right? So you're putting your balls on the table while someone's home, and they're couch critics. All they're gonna do is some people just do that. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Because people are in your shoes, But why hot sex? Because it's fun, That's my little reprise there for you. All those great Kip Winger, what an amazing fucking singer, amazing player. Yeah, it is a shame. It's ridiculous that we live in we have this way of people just being able to pile on and kill something that's really good. There's a lot of emotions musically. Hey, look, I make Winger jokes like anybody else too, but I know they're fucking good. Warren, we know they were great. They were great. Janie Lang was a great singer. In the studio, wow, man, those tracks. Because you listen to a record, but I analyze it vocally. I'm like, wow, that's great work. Great work. I have anybody who's swinging for the fences. They earn my respect because they're actually swinging for the fences. They're not talking about swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to talk shit when you're not, when you ain't.
Yeah. Monday morning quarterbacking. Oh yeah. Could you have caught the ball better?
Oh man, it's too funny. I love football, man. I love it. But the talking heads crack me up. But that's what they're there to do. They're just there to talk and be still, silly. How much Terry Bradshaw and Chris Collinsworth can we really take? At some point, that's got to bring back Dennis Miller. Fuck it.
Dennis Miller. Oh, yeah.
Remember when he started hosting?
Yeah.
Great. I enjoyed it. But there's this media thing, man, as you know, that happens where it's just like it comes in waves and they just attack. I don't know how it happens, man. They cancel things out and it's fucking crazy.
So are there any, so keeping in the realm of hard rock and metal for the show, are there any bands or artists that you feel like might have gotten knocked down or not given a fair shake for some bullshit reason that you think people really should listen to?
Wow, that's good. Any bands? There's been so many that I can't think of one specific. But I can tell you that there's a lot of great talent that never comes to the surface. I do know that, and let's go down the line. You got bands like nowadays. There's Disturbed, and that's the top of the heap, and Godsmacks and all that. So I don't have one band specific, no, but there's maybe that's like a lot of one hit wonder stuff. Maybe. Can you think of someone?
Yeah, kind of like you, too many. I mean, so I'm lucky in what I do with, on the radio, I get exposed to so much music,
Right. Well, think of all the bands that came out of like the signings in the 80s and 90s. So all these bands like, a band like an LA band.
Okay.
Talk about LA Guns for a second. Because you would think LA Guns would have been at that sort of epic stadium level.
Especially after Ballad of Jane became huge.
And then for some reason they're not, I just saw a concert 3 years ago. It was like Alien Ant Farm.
They're good.
Okay. It was Alien Ant Farm. It was Buck Cherry, which is getting their up and comings always. They're good. They're always hanging in there, I think. but POD played. POD is the shit. And
Yeah,
at
they are.
one MTV point, they were the top of the heap. They had Youth of the Nation. That was number one, I think, right? Heavy rotation.
I think so. Yeah, I'd have to let me check Billboard. But
Yeah, it was on Billboard. But POD blows my mind, man. That's like probably my favorite, LA West Coast kind of band. I love that school, that rap metal, but also very vocal band. He's a great singer. Great singer.
Okay, so it hit number 1 on the modern rock chart and 28 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart.
That's the top 40. That means like, status and like where they're at. So, I just think everything's changed. I don't see no reason for that band to be as big as they ever were. That last record they just put out was smoking, man. But that's my group. I like stuff like that. POD. I feel like they should have been. I just feel like they should be bigger for some reason. I know they still tour. But like I said, I saw them and they were just incredible to me. Those songs are all amazing.
Yeah.
Boom. It's like I get ready for anything with that song. That's the ball. That's a band I can think of, but the rest of everybody out there still is just doing it. I mean, Deftones are huge now. But a band like Alien Ant Farm, one song and then that's it. I can think of bands like that. But hey, listen, they're still touring, so I can't, who am I to say anything? You know what I mean? Like I said, if you're out there working, even if you're in a club, you got kudos from me, man. Those Weekend Warrior guys that are playing cover songs on the weekend, God bless them too, because they're having a great time. They're posting, hey man, we're on tour this weekend at this club. And, they're living the dream, man. It's this, they're living the dream. To them, they don't have to go out to see Motley Crue when they could just, we're gonna crew and say we got to play tonight, so we can't do that. So we got our own show tonight.
So you got some upcoming shows. Plug them? Where are you playing? Where's Spread Eagle and where's
Bradley, God bless him. There was something called the Ballroom Blitz gig, and it was set to be, I think, 2019, right? And the great Rona hit, and wiped off the map that was music and theater and whatever movies. Brad took it upon himself, man, to he took it to heart that we had to cancel this gig, and he had people holding tickets. He said, I'm going to make this happen. Do you know Brad?
No.
Wow, man. When you ever do meet him, there's people in this business that are just deep and soulful, cool motherfuckers, right? They do it for the right reason. A lot of promoters you meet you're like, they just want to make money. This guy really cares. I can say this, and this is fact. He cares about the people that he books, and he wants them to be comfortable, have what they need, and have a great time. So he had these bands that he pulled the show on, but he had to, and he's making it up to everybody. And he held a slot for us.
Wow.
We were like kind of late in responding. He still kept the slot for us. I said, don't count us out, because we were going through some things, and the guitar player thing happened with ZV, and I said, let's just tell him yes, and we'll make it happen, right? So that's how that gig. That's where we are with Brad. Brad's great gig. So it's the one in Philadelphia. I think he's still calling it the Ballroom Blitz. So it's 3 days of cool rock and roll and fun, and we got the first night. I think we're playing like around 6 though, twilight hour. Then we have a gig the next night in the city. So that's Philadelphia. In the city on the 30th of July is a gig at a place called Arlene's Grocery. You know Arlene's Grocery? I've
heard of it.
It's a great little room in the middle of Manhattan, and it only holds like $1.50, but it fills with people, and it's got a great vibe. Tommy London books tonight. Tommy London is a great local New York City performer, singer, songwriter. He also has I think he's also on Sirius Radio. I don't know if it's Ozzy's Boneyard or something. Anyway, he's involved in that night too. The night following is a club called Dingbats in New Jersey, a place I used to play all the time and frequent and be quite drunk at. I was actually told once that they didn't understand what I was saying. Ray, I met you one night, but I didn't understand a word you were saying, man. I'm sorry. I've apologized to that person and everybody else since then. That's in Jersey. Those are those 3 gigs. We did have some things booked in August that are getting moved around. So I'll just keep my mouth shut about that. The first Lynch gig is, I think, the first weekend in July. It's in Illinois. I'm not sure of the club yet. I don't have the dates in front of me. But there's that post. I put a poster up on my page, and people can see that. And I'm sure George put it up as well. And I think Jared put up his.
On the Ray West fan page.
Yeah, it's probably on there, right?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so July 8th, The Vault in Saginaw, Michigan. July 9th, Uncle Sam Jam in Woodhaven, Missouri. Michigan? Yeah, with Dawkin. July 15th, Diamond Hall Music in St. Peters, Missouri. And July 16th, Plymouth Motor Speedway, Plymouth, Indiana, with Dawkin, Winger, Firehouse, and Jack Russell's Great White. Holy, some of my favorite singers all on one gig. Wow. You and Don and Jack Russell and Kip Winger. Wow.
I'm gonna go up and shake Kip Winger's hand. I'm gonna find him. Be like, can you sign my shirt? Because awesome. I think they're all great. You're right. What's the Great White song I heard the other day? What's the ballad? Save all your love.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that vocal's ridiculous. I can't even imagine what it must have been like hearing that mix. Because there's this moment, when you have your mix, when you sit down for the first time and everybody's like, all right, sit down. Here we go. We're going to put it on 10. Those moments.
Yeah.
That's your moment. That's when that's the drug of the studio, right? Being in a zone tracking is probably one. But the second, the biggest, coolest thing about the studio vibe is the day you get to sit and hear a mix that's a rough mix. Because sometimes when things get mixed, they get too smooth and they get washed. But that first rough mix, where they're just all their frequencies are hitting you in the face, there's nothing like that. That's cool. Anyway, long story short, I'm sure he must have got a boner all day after that.
Yeah, that is a great song. That's a haunting song. It just burrows into your head and it stays there.
It's very longing. I love, like I said, I love a good ballad, man. I wish I've written a few, but that's special. That song, that's good. That's good. So to me, we talked about Kip Winger. Now I'll actually, hopefully, I'm gonna chase him down to get to shake his hand or something. So I'm like a kid with a new toy. I'm happy just to be in the mix, brother. If I don't care if I just shake the sound man's hand. I'm happy just to be in the mix.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm a radio guy, and half my friends are, heroes from the 80s. People had posters on their walls of half my friends. And I'm just like, I forget to get photos with people, I'm just like, we'll go, I'll show up at a show and we'll go have dinner afterward, or I'll hang in the green room with the band, and, and they're just people to me. I don't get starstruck. They're just people. And then somebody's like, well, did you get a photo? No, darn, I forgot. It just, I'm not that way.
Isn't that? But that's the dynamic of the whole thing. There's some people just stay on that side of the fence and don't get to meet the artists. So they hold this crazy thing that it's more than it is, when they're just people playing rock and roll, and I think they are special because, I think to express yourself and have people appreciate the frequency is an art. So a lot of us, when we meet our heroes, it can really be a letdown. So yeah, it's cool that you have so many relationships with great artists, and that you see them as as friends, man. That's like a rare, cool thing. So yeah, man, they must look and be assholes because they just rock and roll, they drink and smoke all day. They don't, I don't know. There are people like that, I guess. Yeah, you're a good guy, man. It's easy to hang out with you. That's why.
Thank you. So are you. And it's I respect the hell out of your talent and the music you've made and just limiting it to the talking about the music. I respect you for other reasons, but um, I respect all that, and I love the music that you've made. But you're not, you're not a celebrity to me. You're just a person.
I'm not.
I'm probably not saying that too well, but that's kind of how
I'm gonna give you my honest thing. I never see myself the way anybody who's listened to this stuff, I guess, sees it, because I never felt like I was any big deal. You know what I mean? Because there wasn't this great success, with and all that stuff. I've always been just like, oh, who the fuck am I? You know what I mean? I'm just a guy that sings. And at some point, a light shines on you, and you just have to kind of be ready. So I spent so many years just under the radar doing my own thing, playing it safe. And that's the deal. I've been safe. I haven't gone and gotten my act together and chased anything. So this is the first thing in a long time where light's been shined on me, and I am going for it.
Good. You absolutely should.
And I want to, because I want to earn that. Like, you say nice things, but I want to earn it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but you got to understand, from the outside perspective, you've already earned those nice things. But I appreciate the humbleness, the humility that you want to keep working toward that.
Well, I think I was trying to chase perfection the first time I got into studio, and I got beat down so hard, singing, being a new artist, a young artist, you get signed. You've never been in a really top end studio before. You've been in studios, but not a top end, like place like the Record Plant or something. And you get on the mic and you realize you ain't all the shit you think you are. So you have to figure it out pretty quick. And if you don't, while you're trying to figure it out, there are people demanding things of you. And if they don't know how to converse with you properly, they think they're trying to do you solid by getting into your head and trying to manipulate the way you think. Ray, you don't have a lot of energy. Here's some Coke. Ray, you don't have a lot of energy. Go get Ray some Jack. When nobody says to you, well, maybe you should just sit and talk to somebody and see what's going on with you. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't you stepping up and performing the way we think you're supposed to perform? What is wrong with you? So I was beat down pretty good, and I thought I was, hot shit as we were doing showcases and moving along. And little did I know that, I wasn't shit. It wasn't what I thought it was. So I had to build myself up pretty quick in the studio. And that came with a lot of beatdowns, mental beatdowns. And there was a lot of times, bro, where I was on the roof of the Record Plant with the bottle of Jack in my hands, and I was done. I was just gonna fly home. It's like, fuck this, I'll go home. I don't need this shit. But something in you battles back through that shit, and you want to prove them wrong, Also, I'm a child of divorce, so I always need like some sort of like big brother, father. I'm always searching for like someone to pat me on the head. Good job, son. And I wasn't getting a lot of that, but I was striving for that. I was striving to be perfect, the perfect singer on the mic, the perfect guy for you, So somewhere along the line that just fucked with my head. And once we started rolling, once I was done with it and got through that gauntlet, there was the next thing of performing live. There was like, man, you got to get shit together for live. It was always, you got to get moving. You're just not doing it.
Yeah.
So I always had, that's the real story. It's more like, it's the oldest thing in the book. People tell you you can't. So you do, right? Until one day you develop this rep, and it's not really who you really are. I'm not the crazy, screaming, drunken, stoner idiot I portrayed myself to be. I'm just me. I like to sing and dance a little bit, and I love rock and roll. So why can't it just be cool all the time? Why do I have to be perfect? Why do I have to be that guy? And that's all in here, man. That's my own weak shit that I was battling, and the rest is history. Here I am talking to you, and Ray fucking West is here, bro.
Remember to hear the music discussed in this interview. Stream the on-demand Hard, Heavy, and Hair show at pariahrocks.com.
That's PARIAHROCKS.com.
Also hit pariahrocks.com to stream or listen on a radio station near you. The regular 2-hour Hard, Heavy, and Hair show with me, Pariah Burke. Hard, Heavy, and Hair is your weekly dose of hard rock, heavy metal, and hair bands from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 20-teens, and today, including the latest new releases, your old favorites, and deep cuts and rare hair, along with rock news and trivia.